I want to welcome today everyone that's listening to Jim Reynolds Outdoors. I have a special guest that came into the studio today. His name is Mr. Theral Henry, and he started out as a private in the United States Marine Corps, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his story. Mr. Henry, it's certainly great that you stopped by today, and it's an honor, sir. And yeah, we've got your birth date as being October 7th of 1925, so you've been around a few years.
Few years, yes.
Well, you've got an interesting story, and I know when I met you and I talked to you, I think the first time I met you was at the Senior Center here in Greenwood. And then I heard about your story that you had, and you were so gracious to accept my invitation to come into the studios here at Air Care Systems Studio at 101 North Main in Greenwood, and tell us a little bit about your story from when you were drafted in 1943 all the way to the Battle of Iwo Jima. Kind of tell us the history that you have, sir.
Well, I was, like you said, I was drafted I turned 18 in October 43, and I registered for the draft, and then I was called up for my physical sometime after the 1st of February, and after the 1st of 44, and then after I took my physical, passed my physical in Little Rock, then I was called up in the draft on February the 24th, 1944, and they told me at first that I asked to get in the Navy, and they stamped my papers U.S. Navy, and I thought I was going to the Navy. But they sent a group of us draftees to a building, and we stayed there for some time, and 2 or 3 days, and they called us over to another building, and there was a Marine sergeant with stripes from his wrist to his shoulder, and said they had to have about 8 or 9 out of that group to volunteer for the Marine Corps. And he asked if anyone wanted to volunteer, and I think there was about 2 or 3 that volunteered, and then he started shuffling the papers that he had, and he'd call names, and I think I was around 7 or 8 one that he called up, and that group went to another building, and we stayed there, and there was a few other draftees that joined us, and we all went to San Diego, Marine Base, San Diego, California, for our basic training.
Yeah, that sounds great. And that all started back when you were born in a little community in Lone Star. And what I think is so important about that is that now that community is found in Fort Chaffee,
Right.
an Army training center. You were born in there and didn't even realize that that was going to become what it did after World War II.
No one really realized that.
So that's so interesting. And then you said you continued from San Diego, California, where you got your 6 weeks of basic, onto Camp Elliott for advanced infantry training. Kind of tell us a little bit about how you go from basic and what constitutes advanced training.
Well, I guess it's about the same. The tactics and everything that you use in combat is a little different in the advanced training. They tell you how to do the regular maneuvers for combat, and how to hide, and this is the basic things.
It's survival, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's survival. You bet. And then you went all the way to Hawaii, and you were in the Pacific Ocean at that time, weren't you?
Yes.
You started getting your fill of volcanic islands at that point, didn't you?
Right.
Well, okay. So then it looked like to me you mentioned Guam was your
Yes.
first stop.
We went to from Hawaii to Guam, where when the campaign for Guam started, why it had been going on a few days, and we joined the 3rd Marine Division as a replacement outfit. In a replacement outfit, each platoon that had lost men got a replacement out of that group of men to go in and join their platoon.
So was there any fighting on Guam, or had it already been taken? How did that all work out?
Well, Guam has been an American possession for years.
Okay.
They all speak English. The natives of Guam spoke English. And, excuse me.
That's okay.
And they, during the occupation of Japan, they hid all their good clothes, their silk clothes and stuff, in caves and stuff, and they were getting those out to wear it then. So.
Okay, well, so that was Guam, and then from Guam, so Guam kind of operated as your home base.
Right.
And then from there, you went on to Iwo Jima.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Tell us what happened there at the Battle of Iwo Jima.
Well, we were originally, when we left Guam, our destination was Okinawa. And they got in and run into so much trouble at Iwo that we had to disembark at Iwo and join the other Marines there in the combat and for Iwo.
Well, I know everybody that reads their history books, is familiar with the raising of the flag of Iwo Jima.
Yeah.
Did that happen before, during, or after the time that you were there?
I was there when they raised the flag on Iwo Jima, the original one.
Uh-huh.
And most people don't realize that there's 2 flags that went up on Iwo. But the first one was small and on a short pole. So there was an officer on a ship down at sea sitting off the coast of Iwo, and he said, "That's too small. Get another one." So, so they found another pole and a larger flag, and that's the one. But I saluted the original flag, the small one.
Yeah. So the small one wasn't photogenic enough. He had to get a bigger one,
No,
and we had to do it again, huh?
Yeah.
I bet that was after everything was completed, wasn't it?
Well, no, they did that just, I don't know
While
how.
the fighting was still going.
Yeah, the fighting was still going.
Wow.
When they was out of the 6 men that raised the flag up there, there was one of them was killed before he got off the mountain, and then another one I believe was wounded.
Yeah. So they raised the flag, and then he was killed afterwards.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, you had mentioned something that was kind of interesting about the sulfur mines in Iwo Jima and your food.
Oh yeah. Well, we used to. Sulfur is hot, and we would dig a little hole and put our sea rations in there and get them warm before they
warm up your food.
Yeah.
And then you said something also that I found interesting was the Browning automatic rifles that you were armed with. About a little bit about how they didn't operate too good on a volcanic island.
Well, I carried a Browning automatic rifle, and the volcanic ash and the sand on Iwo would cause them to jam, and they wouldn't. The bolt in the rifle wouldn't work right. It would. All those rifles are gas operated, and it would stop up those pores.
Yeah.
For the.
And you said the Japanese were having some of the same issues with their weaponry.
They were. It was affecting all their weapons and everything.
I assume that when guns were being jammed up like they were, then it came down to hand combat. Is
Yeah,
is
a
that
lot
correct?
of it did, yes.
Yeah. Well, I know you said something about that your platoon had like 43
Yes,
people. And
a normal infantry platoon in the Marine Corps was approximately 40 to 43 men in it. And after our first encounter lasted about 2 to 3 hours, and after that was over with and we could get back together, there was 19 of us left.
over half.
Yes.
Over half. Well, Mr. Henry, I certainly consider you my hero that I can see here, and I can shake your hand, and I'm so very appreciative of all the things that I've been able to have in this country. Number one, one of the things that I have in my memory is that I didn't get to serve, but it was because of your sacrifice I didn't have to serve.
Thank you.
And you're very welcome. I know you were drafted. I mean, the draft is not around any longer. But the way I feel like every American ought to serve 2 years, no matter what. I don't think that'll ever happen, but that's just the way I feel.
Well, I kind of feel the same way. I think as far as the service is concerned, it'd be good for our youth today if they did serve in the military, some branch or.
Sure, I do too. I feel like they'd want to. Number one, they'd want to vote after they've served in the military, and number two, they'd have a lot more respect for the rights that we do have here in this country.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it would be good for all the youth if they did serve a term.
Right.
I hope we never have a war where they have to go to combat.
But we've seen a lot since World War II that
Yes, we have.
we always have to be ready to protect those rights and freedoms. Is there anything else, Mr. Henry, that you would like to let our listeners know about Mr. Theral Henry, who ended private first class and was wounded in battle?
Well, really, I've when I look back, I've had a good life, really, and I've had a lot of sickness, I guess, a lot of surgery, and but as far as God's blessed me with a great family and a place to live and a job, secure job through the years, and I just feel blessed to have that.
Well, I think God's blessed me today from you coming into the studio today to record this interview, and I want to thank you, and I want to thank God for that moment.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was a great honor.
Thank you for it.
Okay.